Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking your time out today and joining us for the launch of GMR Innovex Blockchain Center of Excellence. Blockchain is gathering wider support across industries for decentralization, data immutability, and implicit trust that it offers. Blockchain technology is evolving into a robust technology stack with myriad applications being built across BFSI, manufacturing, travel, and government sectors. The future holds enormous promise for enterprise blockchain with applications like NFT, metaverse, and others. This is an exciting time for GMR Group as we continue to grow and adapt to cutting-edge technologies. We are excited about the prospects of distributed ledger technology, more specifically blockchain and its applicability across various business segments of ours, which is a multi-stakeholder environment. As things evolve fast in this space, we at GMR Innovex are excited to leverage this technology across the group to enhance our business operations and continue to deliver a phenomenal passenger and customer experience. Today, we have with us our chief guest, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, the Principal Secretary of the Industries and Commerce and Information Technology, Department of Telangana Government. Mr. Jayesh is a member of the Indian Administrative Service. He plays an instrumental role in developing Telangana's state's policy framework, digitizing government processes for operational efficiency, and encouraging innovation in the state. In his role, Mr. Jayesh is involved in developing policy frameworks, attracting new investments, identifying opportunities for utilizing IT in various government processes, and promoting the digital empowerment of the citizens. He has worked in the industrial promotion sector as Commissioner and MD of the Industries Department, Secretary in the Tourism Promotion Department, and Vice Chairman of the Hyderabad Urban Development Authority, and various other rural assignments in different parts of Telangana for the over 12 years, working in diverse sectors like tribal development, natural resources management, poverty alleviation, and other related social development sectors. A warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf of GMR Group, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. Today, we also have stalwarts of the blockchain industry gathered here. A mentor is not someone who walks ahead of you, but alongside to show you what you can do. It's been a great journey for us to get where we are today, and it wouldn't have been possible without the help, mentorship, and support of these pioneers and experts in the blockchain and Web 3.0 space. I'm elated to take this opportunity to welcome the advisors of GMR Innovex's blockchain CoE. We have Rajesh Duddu, who's our advisor, and Prasanna Lohar, Colonel Inderjeet Singh, Srinivas Mahankali, Sharat Chandra, and Pankaj Devan. Let us start today's event by invoking divine blessings. I call upon my colleague Geetanjali onto the stage.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरी तनयाय धीमहि अजीशानाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरी तनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय बालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि गानचतुराय गानप्राणाय गानात्मने गानोत्सुकाय गानमत्ताय गानो सुखमनसे गुरुपूजिताय गुरुदैवताय गुरुकुलस्थायिने गुरुविक्रमाय गुह्यप्रवराय गुरवे गुणगुरवे गुरुदैत्यकलाक्षेत्रे गुरुधर्मसराराध्याय गुरुपुत्रपरित्रात्रे गुरुपाकन्दकन्दकाय गीतसाराय गीततत्त्वाय गीतगोत्राय धीमहि गूढगुल्फाय गन्धमट्टाय घोजयप्रदाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि. Thank you.
Thank you, Geetanjali, for your beautiful rendition of Ganesh Vandana. We will now have the auspicious lamp lighting ceremony. I'd like to call upon the stage Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Mr. SGK Kishore, ED South Airports and CIO GMR Group, Mr. Pradeep Panikar, CEO Hyderabad International Airport, Rajesh Duddu, Pankaj Devan, Arpit Sharma from VP Polygon, and Deep Chena, Chief Product Officer from CoE Earth.
शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापं सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तुते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रांश्च मतिं स्वच्छां हि मे सदा रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत्.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to welcome Mr. SGK Kishore, ED South Airports and CIO GMR Group. Under his leadership, Hyderabad Airport has set a benchmark in growth, customer delight, operational excellence, and bringing technological innovation to the group. Mr. Kishore's illustrious career spans over 30 years across government and private sectors. Mr. Kishore joined the GMR Group in 2006, where he was associated with the development and construction of Hyderabad Airport, and later he led the Hyderabad Airport City business as the CEO. Spearheading the positioning and development strategy of India's largest airport city project. In 2013, he took over as CEO of GMR Hyderabad International Airport with overall responsibility for the unique Hyderabad airport ecosystem spanning the airport city, and various allied businesses. He's also an active member of the governing body of the Association of Private Airport Operators in India. Having steered the Hyderabad airport onto a higher trajectory of growth, Mr. Kishore's focus is on creating a world-class airport city centered on the Hyderabad airport. Sir, I would request you to address the audience and set the context for today. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Special welcome to all the dignitaries and guests and stalwarts from the blockchain industry. Our chief guest, Jayesh Ranjan, who is also our board director and always has been a big support to whatever GMR and the Hyderabad airport has been doing. When we look at today's event, I remember last year in April when the GMR Innovex was launched by the Honorable Chief Secretary and the Minister, Secretary Civil Aviation. So many people might be thinking why a group like GMR is into innovation, digital technologies, etc. So primarily when we started looking into innovation, because Hyderabad airport has been in the forefront of deploying new technologies. We were the first airport to deploy paperless boarding. Now we are in the forefront of deploying the facial recognition Digi-Yatra in our airport ecosystems. So we thought there is a huge opportunity to give a platform for various stakeholders to try out new things, try out new ideas, new solutions, new products. And that is how last year when we launched this GMR Innovex open innovation platform, it was supposed to provide a unique opportunity to both the internal stakeholders and the external stakeholders to work with the businesses. Especially what we see is most of the startups face a challenge in getting access to the end users. They have ideas, but they don't have a platform to deploy their use cases, their solutions, and to see whether there is a market acceptability. So that was the uniqueness when GMR Innovex was formulated and conceptualized. This particular innovation platform is led by the end user business. So it is agnostic to any technology, it is agnostic to any specific area. And one unique thing of aviation is it's a mini universe sort of a thing. Because today in aviation, it is not just transportation. It has logistics, it has safety, security related issues. It has stakeholders who are quasi-government, purely private. There are opportunities in travel, retail, hospitality, healthcare. We are developing airport cities. So none better than GMR to provide a platform for the entire segments of industry to try out new ideas, new solutions. So that was how it was formulated. And today when we look at developing a center of excellence for blockchain, what we did is basically we were looking into some technologies which will be very, very relevant, which requires a corporate hand-holding rather than just technology. And the first thing which we struck is blockchain, because as in the introduction they mentioned, aviation is a multi-stakeholder environment. A lot of data information exchange happens. There is a lot of time is spent on ensuring that the data which is transferred from one stakeholder to the other stakeholder is the accurate one. So the data immutability, etc. And aviation is one where there is an opportunity to develop new age solutions and new age products, because fortunately or unfortunately, most of the aviation IT systems are still archaic. So what we thought is there is a great opportunity for us to handhold and provide a platform to develop enterprise solutions for using blockchain technology. One of the first people whom I met was Rajesh Duddu when I learned about blockchain, and he was really gung-ho about the number of opportunities and use cases which we can develop. I think last 1 year we have been interacting with him, and now the blockchain universe itself has further progress. Now you come into Web 3.0, metaverse, digital twins. So there's huge opportunity in an industry like aviation. So we thought that a center of excellence in blockchain will be very, very useful. And we are very happy. Most of the blockchain leaders and entities very willingly were agreeing to handhold us. The India Blockchain Forum, Polygon, CoE, so many TechM. So I think this particular platform, I think Rama Iyer will be mentioning to you what is the mandate of this blockchain CoE, how it will help both the external ecosystem and the internal ecosystem within GMR. I foresee a lot of propulsion happening by this sort of initiatives. And just to inform you, we have identified few other technologies where there could be a lot of opportunities where we can handhold them. So the next CoE which we'll be launching in next quarter will be in robotics, because we see great opportunity of deploying robotics in various businesses of GMR and other segments. And computer vision and digital twins is another area where we'll be working upon. So the GMR Innovex team will be interacting with the industry players and to identify these sort of emerging technologies where we can handhold and we can see that prospective startups can work with us to come out with new products, new solutions, new business processes. And the ultimate goal is basically to enhance the end user experience, improve process efficiencies, and finally leading to development of entrepreneurship, both for the employees of GMR and also the external people who want to develop their own businesses and own entities. So it's very exciting, and I'm really thankful that on a weekend all of you willingly spared time to come here. And once again, a special thanks to Jayesh for witnessing this particular launch of our blockchain CoE. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and sharing the interesting work GMR Innovex is doing. I'd now like to invite Rama Iyer, Head Innovation at GMR Airports. Rama is an advisor, business and technology leader with 20 years of experience, which includes, okay.
Thank you, but so warm welcome everyone. I think I'll build upon what Kishorji said. I think some of this would not have been possible without his leadership and guidance. I think two people that I'd really like to thank is Kishorji and Pradeep. Hyderabad is our anchor airport out of which we run all our innovations. So Pradeep and his team, the business leaders who are sitting there, all are good friends now. And without that, I think innovation is always a struggle. So I'm just kind of wanting to lay it out there that I've been very lucky to have champions supporting me in this cause and what we are trying to do. Blockchain and more other technologies like robotics, autonomous, and so on and so forth, but we'll keep the focus for blockchain today. And along with that, warm welcome to Jayesh ji, always been a dear champion of the state, technology, T-Hub, and many other things. Rajesh and all the advisors, Prasanna, Sharad, Inder, Srini. Also good to have seeing Professor Desai after a long time. Vikrant is here. Shrikant Sinha ji, thanks. So it's great to see all the old blockchain friends after a long time. And hopefully we end up doing a lot more things. Special invitees here today, Polygon and CoinEarth, our partners with whom we are trying to do. Thanks Arpit and thanks Deep. Couple of things, there are a couple of slides there if the still working. Okay. So this is a little bit of our 6-pillar approach that we do as a innovation charter. And I'll keep it soft and sweet. The things which are bluish colors are things which are internal facing as an organization, and the value that we bring from an outside in perspective, which is essentially knowledge, learning, working with the teams, building, co-building, prototyping and things like that, right? And we are bringing a lot of leaders to come talk about knowledge from outside. And I think in that we are also going to take advantage and invite Colonel Inder to talk about cybersecurity next. The one on the right side, which is all the orangish color, are what can we do with startups in terms of building newer products, building newer solutions, go to market, and more importantly, invest. Today as Innovex, we have a SEBI registered fund, and we are happy that we are doing things in parallel. Usually, fund is a much more complex connotation, and corporate organizations take at least a decade before they think about investing and things like that, even for a captive multinational. So happy to say that we are doing things in parallel. Hopefully things go somewhere. Next. This is a very broad thing. I think one is to kind of go and kind of talk about a CoE and announce, but there are some of the things that we have thought through in terms of what we want it to be anchored around. Obviously, hackathon and ideathons are there, which is initial start for our people to work with. Innovex today already does a lot of ideation session with businesses to understand problems and how do we help solve. So we will tee off from there. The ecosystem and community connect, we will kind of do more. And I think who better than Pankaj to kind of, stitch the dots for us for blockchain and more. Next is we have a small sandbox that we are building, and idea is to set up a Polygon sandbox where people can build dApps, create an ecosystem around, and hopefully we build on to the whole vision of what JSG initially started off with the blockchain district. Rajesh has been there, a champion of blockchain district with Tech Mahindra as a partner. So we hope to build on that. And all the ideas and startups that are there, both early stage and late stage, we will do a nice event using a demo day kind of a parlance to kind of see where it goes so businesses can adopt. We want to not stop there. The last thing, even though it is at the last from a maturity standpoint, but we want to get on to doing joint IP and product development. And I think later you will hear from Siddharth of Statvic of what we have already done with startups on the blockchain side. So today, even though we are announcing this is not our day zero in blockchain, and you will hear from some of the people of the distance that we have already traveled, has a corporate, as Kishorji likes to mention, a non-tech company, which is kind of taking a anchor technology and really taking it the distance. Next. This is the only slide I have. So this is like, we are obviously got our advisors who will come and talk about their background, and their names are sufficient in terms of what they have done in their past. We will have a team that will kind of help with POC and product build. Mentors, we touched upon that. And I think last but not the least, I think our stalwart champion like, Pankaj Diwan will play chief evangelist for us for the blockchain CoE. He's been working with us for already a year. And we already did events with Tech Mahindra, with Rajesh. And this is one more block in that chain where it's an event, but I think we will end up doing a lot more things with startups. And he's kind of, more today GMR than Idea Labs, I would say, at least from a blockchain standpoint, and always there to help us. So thanks, Pankaj. He's always does it with a smile. So these are some of the things that I thought I'll lay it out, that it is not just about an event or a CoE kickoff. There are things that we have thought through. There are things that we are already doing, things in motion. And that probably helps us differentiate from a lot more other entities that makes and puts out announcements, right? So we want to put out things that we are able to do things with business use case in play. So that's the key messaging here. And I think that's that from my side. Is there anything else, guys? Or I'll move it back to Pooja. Sorry? Okay, so I'll invite Jayesh to kind of do the next part, talk about launch our logo, and then also kind of talk about go ahead.
To accelerate our journey in blockchain adoption, GMR Innovex has recognized and signed MOUs with leading industry players. It's my immense pleasure to invite Mr. SGK Kishore on the dais for the formal exchange of MOUs. Please. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Mr. Arpit Sharma, VP Polygon, on the stage to exchange the MOU and share a few words on the partnership. I'll take this.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I feel really humbled standing in front of all of the industry stalwarts. But I think this is exciting. So I will. So I have been associated with the airport technology ecosystem for quite some time, and I have always found Hyderabad to be at the forefront of innovation since DigiYatra days. So I think this is the next step in that direction. I will speak basically about 2 points: the importance of blockchain today, what we are seeing in the market, and the importance of this CoE for enabling these startups here. So as far as blockchain is concerned, so what we are seeing is that if you look at it from a very broad perspective, not just a small tactical technologies perspective, internet is evolving, it is changing now. So in some time, internet will be completely different from what we see. There will be a decentralized layer on top of what we have. There will be a lot more business models that will come out of that. For instance, there has been no way of owning any digital assets before blockchain was there. So, this idea is very powerful because it enables you to do so much more that you were never able to do earlier, right? So, in essence, a core technology is changing. The technology which enabled industry for last 20-25 years. So that is changing, and with that, enterprises will change. So I think that this is essential that we put that strategic emphasis on this evolving trend. So I think that's around blockchain. Around CoE, I think it is what we have seen. So Polygon started in 2017 as Matic. So we have seen some tremendous growth in last 5 years. We have grown from a team of some 10 people to some 450 people today. Today we have some 37,000 applications that are deployed on Polygon with a lot of cutting edge ZK stuff that we are doing. But important thing that we realize is that it is very critical for all of us to kind of provide that platform to the startups in India, because we always have had that technological edge. Now this is time to give them that mentorship, to give them that experience that we have gained over the years, to share all the worldview that we have, and in turn learn from that. So we are super excited to be part of this. We understand that this is going to be an immense learning experience for Polygon also. Super excited to be part of this and looking forward to learning a lot from this. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Mr. Pankaj Diwan, CEO of Idea Labs, co-founder of India Blockchain Forum, and also our knowledge partner, to speak a few words. Yeah, the MO exchange followed by a few words, please.
Well, I think we have a lot of interesting people here who are going to talk, so I'll keep it very short. Blockchain is often called as a technology of trust, but I think this center of excellence brings trust to blockchain, because a lot of times enterprise dismiss blockchain as a fancy thing and often confuse with a lot of things like crypto and other not so good to be spoken terms. So when an enterprise like GMR takes a stand and looks at blockchain as a part of their commitment, I think it brings a lot of credibility to the whole blockchain industry in itself. So I would like to thank SGK sir for all his guidance all along. He's been more a father figure all along, driving this thing. And the kind of amazing insight he has about blockchain. In fact, I keep telling Rama that if I have to go to a blockchain conference of experts, I can go unprepared. But if I have to come and meet SGK sir, I better come prepared because that's the kind of insight he has. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. I'm humbled to be the chief evangelist for this CoE. And also as Ideal, as we take this as a huge responsibility and an opportunity to do something interesting and worthwhile. And we are so fortunate that we have such battery of advisors who are going to guide us all along. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Prasanna Lohar, CEO of Blockstack and President India Blockchain Forum on stage for exchanging of MOU and to speak a few words on the partnership.
Yeah, very good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Rama, SDK sir, Pankaj, for this opportunity for collaboration with the GMR Innovex. I think what we have seen primarily era of internet, right? Wherein we were witnessing how these use cases will be helpful for us. We see today Google Pay, Phone Pays, and we keep utilizing it. That's the opportunity we have to use these applications built on the internet technology. But today we are sitting on that corner or that kind of a wave where we can build a technology itself. Like the blockchain is a one foundation technology like internet. Internet is a foundation technology. It's not like a disruptive technology like a Google Pay or UPI or Aadhaar. So I think good to be part of this technology in year 2022 where most of these applications will be used by people over a period of next 10, 20, 30 years, right? I think it's a new wave. People call it as a Web 3, people call it as an Internet 2.0, but eventually it's a changing customer behavior, human behavior, and the need of a human tomorrow. Today, what we have seen, most of these applications around digital transformation or digital banking or digital everywhere. So eventually it will become as intelligent, right? So today it will be intelligent for the next 3 to 4, 5 years. And as an organization, as a country, as a GMR or as a Tech Mahindra, every company need to see how they will adopt technology so-called blockchain and various other peripheral aspects about a blockchain, maybe digital assets or NFTs or metaverse and so on. And it has to be accepted in a right way. How it can be happen? It can happen by one company and a group of companies or countries. So I think it's a responsibility now for us to really bring on the right use cases with the help of this technology so that our next life, which is going to be a very intelligent, and maybe the next to next life, which is going to be autonomous. So how do we ready for that? Individually, GMR can do it, but it has to be a collaborative effort to go in the right direction. I think it's a good responsibility for us. India Blockchain Forum is for all of us, and good to see that we are collaborating first MOU with GMR Innovex, and look forward further more guidance from Jayesh sir and various other stalwarts out here. Rajesh ji, Pankaj, and all of our members like Sharath, Indrajit, and Srinivas. So thank you so much once again. Once again, it's a journey for us, and good to see that our journey of India Blockchain Forum, although we are going to launch it tomorrow, we are starting already with GMR Innovex. And once again, it's a responsibility, and we promise that this responsibility will be in the right direction with safeguarding better innovations, because I think there are 3 words now in our life, which is a collaboration, or innovation, or technology. And when they come all together, I think that's how we will see lot many changes for society or next level of human beings. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Yeah.
I'd now like to welcome Mr. Deep Chenna, Chief Product Officer at CoinEarth, on stage to exchange the MOU and share a few words on partnership. You have.
Hi everyone. I'm really honored to stand here and speak in front of all of you guys. So I'll just keep it short. I'll just gonna talk two things that at CoinEarth, what we believed in last four and a half years, what we are building there with blockchain from the day one, and as well how important is these kind of adoptions like what GMR is trying to bring onto the table to the ecosystem, right? So first of all, at CoinEarth, when we started in 2018, right? So we know how powerful this blockchain technology is. That time, everything is evolving, especially in India. All technologies, protocols, still coined and not yet matured, right? So we last 4 or 5 years, we have been building different kind of technologies to, especially working very close to enterprises and trying to see the value that blockchain can bring in. It's such a diverse technology. You can talk about use cases starting from supply chain and the other end to customer engagement to customer experiences. It's as diverse as internet. So that's why it's always called Web3. There's very specific reason to do that, right? So in past experience, what we have seen this, the blockchain plays an ecosystem play. It's not like individual play where player can just come in and build some technology and just penetrate. It's ecosystem play. Everybody has to adopt, and we are in a right position here. The way the technology is evolving, many of the technological challenges that were there before being addressed with the kind of protocols, kind of throughputs that it require, right? It's now about adoption, right? The CoE, the current GMR innovation, is a great step forward. And we have seen the need of this kind of, big enterprises coming forward and encouraging this technology, like Pankaj rightly said, right? This kind of, this has a little bit controversial topic, blockchain, in some spaces, right? So it's just not about crypto. So it's a lot more than what, a blockchain can bring to enterprise. One example that I can take is like recently what we launched, vehicle digital passport with MG Aster car. Every MG Aster car comes with a passport which stores information cradle to grave of the car on a blockchain, and multiple stakeholders writing the information into the blockchain and how important. And then the timing is correct that IRDA recently announced UBI, usage-based insurance, right? You drive car less, so you need to pay insurance less. If you are a safe driver, you need to pay less insurance less. This tech is so beautiful and can be easily adopted, and also kind of brings in data sharing is more secure, trusted manner. Right? It is just one case in point what the kind of use cases that blockchain can bring in, and similarly can be applied to logistics at GMR. So you can have information of every package and have a transparent information shared, right? So we're allowed to be part of this, in this partnership, allowed to explore more, solutions that we can bring, and it's really exciting to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Sudarshan Tyagarajan, founder of Verywants, on the stage to exchange the MOU and share a few words on the partnership.
With so many people spoken already, I don't know. Thanks. great opportunity to be here. Thank you so much for Pankaj for facilitating, Rama for inviting us to be part of this ecosystem. Uh, I represent an organization called Very Once. To define us, we are building a digital ecosystem for organizations, universities, training organizations, skilling setups all over the world to come to one platform and exchange credentials with blockchain as the foundation. A lot of tech companies are here. We come from the other way around. We are a education, ed tech organization, and we picked blockchain as a technology to achieve or build a differentiator onto our platform, which is verified credentials. And that's why it's interesting to be part of this ecosystem coming from the other side. We are not a blockchain company looking for use cases around blockchain. We are a EdTech company who found blockchain as a use case, and we would like to strengthen that going forward. Fantastic. I mean, really great initiative by GMR, and glad to be part of the ecosystem. I'm hoping we can contribute and also learn from it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Siddharth Chakravarti, founder Statwick, to talk about our existing relation with GMR Cargo.
Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Sid Chakravarti. I'm going to talk less about blockchain because everyone here is an expert, and talk more about the people that are associated with this program, right? So back in 2016, I was in US, California. I was working for a company there on the innovation team, and that company got acquired, and I was looking for new opportunities. And I got invited to a Thai conference, and that conference had KTR sir and Jayesh Ranjan sir speaking at that conference. And they simply wowed that audience with their vision and everything that they were doing just back then with T-Hub, right? And they inspired many people, and I was one of the people in the audience who got inspired and moved back to India and started the company. So I joined T-Hub as soon as I came back, started the company and joined T-Hub. And Rama was one of the one of the mentors there back then. I started my ideation phase, validating the ideas with him. So we spent a lot of hours brainstorming what is the perfect business model, what is the go-to-market strategy, and all of those things, right? So he was an amazing mentor. He was a pleasure to work with, and we had great experience at T-Hub. T-Hub provided us also not only a startup ecosystem, but also an opportunity to convert government as an early adopter of blockchain technology. We had a couple of work orders with government of Telangana, civil supplies, and we're working with women and child welfare right now. So it's an amazing experience. And then we came across GMR. So I remember walking into Saurabh's office at Cargo Terminal. He's the CEO of Cargo Terminal over here. And he knew more about the tech and the use cases than I did. So as soon as I walked in, we had a deal on the table, which came from his side. So it was so easy to work with, and we started that relationship 2 years back in 2020. It's an amazing relationship. GMR is a pleasure to work with. And Kishore sir was in many of those meetings guiding us, and he brings lot of innovation, lot of vision to the table. So challenging us with the product development, challenging us to look for new creative ways in which we can create differentiation over existing products in the market. So also Rajesh, right? So Rajesh, I and Rajesh started working together for, I don't know, two and a half years ago. And we've been chasing clients together everywhere in the world. So it's been a pleasure working with you. So it's this group is amazing. Srini invited me. So I think I was part of one of his books. He writes many books. So so he got looked into one of his book projects. So this is a delightful bunch of people to work with. I really congratulate the new companies who have signed MOUs with GMR, because this company makes things happen, right? So they're not just doing this for the sake of building another center of excellence. I mean, you see so many center of excellences around the world which do nothing. It's just a place, right? Place. It's another way to create some news. But I think the people over here are very serious about what they're doing. They're very serious about innovation. I think a lot of projects that will kick off today or in the next few weeks will see light very soon. So I'm quite excited for everyone, and thank you for inviting me.
Next, I'd like to invite our honorary chief guest, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, onto the stage to share his thoughts about the emerging blockchain technology and about the launch of today's Center of Excellence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, my greetings to all the dignitaries, Mr. Kishore, Mr. Prem, Mr. Ramayar, all the company representatives, institution representatives who have signed up today with GMR Innovex. I've become a part of Statwig. So about 1 year, 3 months ago, the GMR Innovex was launched, perhaps in this room itself, if I'm not mistaken. And on that occasion, some very aspirational ideas were shared on what the Innovex can potentially do. At that point in time, it looked really aspirational. There was some element of skepticism, how much of it will be really achieved. But I'm very, very impressed to see such a quick turnaround. They have already started doing some amazing work. But today, to be able to start the Center of Excellence on blockchain is again a very important milestone. And I'm also very delighted that they have chosen to work with the blockchain technology. I mean, there are umpteen number of new generation technologies, emerging technologies as we call them. But to repose faith and confidence on blockchain is something very significant. Also gives a very strong message to the community, to the group of stakeholders. Many of us are familiar that when blockchains, from the early premise of how blockchain started to where we are today. Today, blockchain is being used in a very, very creative way in all kinds of spheres of activities. In fact, one of the newest things which we have showcased as Telangana government also relies heavily on blockchain. We have not publicized it much, but I'm sure gradually the word will spread. Very recently, just about a few months ago, we have been able to demonstrate very successfully a use case over a large sample of home-based voting, remote voting. So in India, remote voting is still a kind of a fairy tale. Like you need not go to a polling station, you need not go anywhere, just sit at home, cast your vote using a device. And you can imagine the context in which voting takes place in our country. The context is such that even EVMs are doubted, particularly by those who lose the elections. One of the first things they do is to blame the machines, that the EVMs are faulty and so on and so forth. So in that context, to be able to design a framework through which e-voting can be permitted without any iota of doubt. And of course, blockchain has played a very, very important role, because the easiest doubt would be that how will you ensure that votes are not tampered? People are casting their votes from hundreds of homes. How do you ensure that everything is secure? And we have been able to show a very strong model using blockchain that it is immutable, as was pointed out. And there have been so many other use cases also. Some of the people who have supported us in rolling out use cases I see some of them in the room itself. I'd like to share another very interesting use case. See, one amazing advantage of blockchain is, and that has been proved over the last few years, is certain kinds of governance problems, administration problems, which at one point in time appear to be absolutely intractable. I mean, you can't just solve them in your lifetime. Those kind of problems we now see are getting solved using blockchain. And again, I feel very proud to share that in Telangana, in our country, Telangana was one of the first actually, to make a dent in a very unorganized, messy, complicated system, which is that of chit funds. All of us are aware about what chit funds are. In fact, there are certain states where chit fund has taken the proportion of a scam. At some point in time, the government may collapse because of the chit fund scam and all that. But such scams are happening everywhere. It is just that it is highlighted more in a particular state. And I know otherwise also that it's a very complicated system. There's no transparency. Millions of users, they don't even know what kind of hera-fairy is going on behind their back. But with the help of a very innovative solution, which incidentally was the product of a local startup, we were able to organize the entire chit fund structure. And today, everything happens transparently. We have even been able to convert lots of legacy chit fund runs into this kind of an organized structure. So there are umpteen opportunities, and the fact that all this will now be happening within this CoE makes it even more exciting, because as all of us know, the airport itself is like a universe in itself, presided over by Mr. Kishore, Mr. Prem, and all these other people. But this is a universe where all kinds of transactions happen. You see all spheres of activity happening here. So there are umpteen opportunities of finding problems where blockchain can be a very appropriate technology, solve them within the airport, and then obviously try it out in the larger world as well. So I'm also very grateful that some of the very serious players in the blockchain world have decided to join the advisory group. I see all of them sitting here. This itself again is a very strong foundation, because if there's a strong governance structure, the filtration mechanism of whom do you give opportunity to, what is the validation of the work that they are doing, that filtration mechanism gets established, adds to the credibility of the CoE. So that again is a great thing. I have just a couple of suggestions to give to the CoE. One is that please work with the larger ecosystem today. I'm happy that IBF is joining hands with you, though we are officially launching it tomorrow. There's a very strong Web 3.0 community as well in the city, and lots of people who want to learn more about Web 3.0. So please keep your doors open for all of them. The government, as you rightly recognized, had created this kind of an institution called the Blockchain District 4 years ago or 4.5 years ago. We have also done some good work there. There is a blockchain accelerator called T-Block, which has been able to discover some amazing startups. And I know that typically when you call for hackathons or these kind of events, I mean, you do identify potentially good entrepreneurs and innovators, but in the long run, the success rate kind of fizzles down. But I was happy to be told by my colleagues some months ago that the success rate of the T-Block is much higher than similar other programs, which is a very positive thing to learn. And I will be making an important announcement tomorrow, but I can give you a sneak preview about it, which is about setting up a regulatory sandbox on Web 3.0. So please keep an eye on it. Or if you are coming to the IBF launch tomorrow, I'll share more details at that point in time. But I'm just sensitizing you that that will also be a very good thing to be a part of. So once again, heartfelt congratulations to the entire GMR Innovex team, and I look forward to much such breakthroughs in the future. Kishore Garu had already announced that the next one will be on robotics and so on and so forth. So good wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Our next agenda for today is a panel discussion. The topic is evolution of enterprise blockchain applications. Blockchain technology and its applications have evolved due to its many advantages like security, decentralization, transparency in comparison, and most importantly, data immutability. I would like to invite our expert panelists on stage for a discussion, and the session will be moderated by Mr. Pankaj Diwan. Over to you, Pankaj. Do you want? Yeah.
Yeah, I would request all the speakers to come on the dais. Mr. Rajesh Dhudu, Mr. Srinivas Mahakali, Colonel Inderjit Singh, Prasanna, Sharath, and of course Rama. Be ready for some tough questions. Right. Yeah, the audience just has to ensure that we don't talk amongst ourselves because we are so fond of each other. And I also want to thank Rajeshji. He's not been in the best of health, but he has, taken this time out and come here all the way. Thank you so much, sir, for that. Let's dive into the topic. I think, and the topic as given is about enterprise evolution of blockchain or adoption of blockchain in enterprises and the evolution around that. I think that's a very interesting topic because to start with, I remember 5 or 6 years back when I started talking to enterprises, they would look at me as if I've come from some other land, right, as an alien. So let me start with Rajeshji because he's been a champion, and I remember his TEDx talk on blockchain and Bitcoin. And those days there was hardly any difference between blockchain and Bitcoin. And from then to head the blockchain practice in a large IT services company like Tech Mahindra, which has not only been in the forefront in India, but it's the only company which has been recognized as the top 50 blockchain companies by Forbes for the 2 consecutive years, 21 and 22. So I would like you to probably start off and share a little about the journey that has been of blockchain, because I think you've seen it right from the day zero.
Yeah, thank you, Pankaj. Hello, everyone. In fact, the journey has been very fascinating, both professionally as well as personally. So when I got this opportunity of moving over from a serial entrepreneur called Raman Roy in Delhi, I was working with him for about 12.5 years. And then I made the shift from that particular company to Tech Mahindra, took the role of a blockchain leader, and then announced to some of my friends, they said, oh, blockchain leader, but what will you do in the company? So that was the reaction of the people. Very good, but what will you do in the company? Because at that point of time, blockchain was more like, everybody used to say it's a good solution looking for a problem to solve. What people didn't realize that point of time is there is a lot of trust gap, trust deficit, and that trust deficit has been growing over a period of time. And pandemic has established that to a greater extent, right? We believe in an enterprise scenario or in a non-enterprise scenario, everything is being trusted, which is not the case. And also in terms of earlier, people used to take everything on a face value. For example, just before the pandemic, I was speaking at Phoenix, and the Forbes editor had asked me, when will the time come when he can go to a neighboring store, pull out the head of a lettuce, and say this is actually organic lettuce because it has been tracked on the blockchain. So I said, no, I don't know when that will time come, but you come to India, and then if you get a call on a mobile number in India, we can tell you whether it is a spam call or not a spam call, because we are able to insulate those calls as well as the messages using blockchain. Yeah, it's one of the world's largest use case, and it happened out of India, right? So from that point of time, there has been a lot of advent in adoption of blockchain. That's primarily because people have realized that, yes, there is a trust gap. And also that trust gap is also growing because of, if you look at, for example, another example I can give. if you ask any of the youngster in your family to come out for, let's say, a dinner or a lunch, what will the youngster do? I'll tell you what my niece or nephew does. They first go to Zomato, see the rating. They're not happy with that. They put it on the school WhatsApp group, and some of the people have said, yuck, your uncle is taking you such downtrodden restaurant. We can't believe that he's your uncle. So what is that they're trying to validate? They're looking at the data points again and again, and those data points foster an important decision making for them. And if that data itself is misrepresented, what will happen to that misrepresentation and what will happen to the trust factor? That many few enterprises realize that. And that's where a blockchain as a technology is coming to the fore, and it is gaining a lot of traction.
Great, thanks. So, Colonel Saab, I'll move to you. One of the biggest angst that enterprises have is about security. And you being the cybersecurity expert, and you see blockchain and cybersecurity together on a day-to-day basis. And even today, before this event, you were narrating so many incidents. How do you see that happening? And do you see there is a greater belief now in the enterprises about blockchain, or is there still an angst? So where does the security and blockchain kind of balance in terms of the adoption in enterprises?
Yeah, thank you. I'm audible. So thank you. It's really wonderful to be here today, and phenomenal discussions. And coming to the cybersecurity part of it in the blockchain, yes, it really gives you a very inherent advantage when you're using a blockchain in an enterprise, right? And that's what everybody looks in for. But at the same time, it's got its own challenges, because cybersecurity is never being part of the blockchain framework when they design. It's kind of an overlay or the knee-jerk whenever there's a vulnerability which is being identified and data to come up with. That's where the challenge lies, and where we see that nobody follows the OWASP. If you ask any startup, have you incorporated any kind of cybersecurity overlay in the architecture? No. That's why, every day what you're finding, some hacks happening, some wallets getting hacked, something, the exchanges getting hacked, some kind of things which are going wrong. This is not that the blockchain is wrong. It is because of architecturally they went wrong. Okay. So this is important whenever we are designing any architecture, maybe for the government or for like the e-voting, which Mr. Jayesh brought out, the land records which are there. The blockchain is very robust. It's really a fantastic job. But then the security, the vulnerabilities, because at the end of the day, it's a code, right? And that code can always be hacked, because bits and bytes are always hackable, remember that. And it's just a matter of power, okay? And it's whatever the computing power it requires to break any code. And today, while we talk of quantum computing, it's phenomenal amount of power which is going to come up. So never think that the blockchain is never going to be hackable, but at the same time, it gives you a fantastic security aspect to look into. And while the enterprises are adopting it, put cybersecurity as major, part of the framework.
Thank you. So if I understood well, blockchain as such is robust, but it also depends on the architecture, how you're building
it's the people who are designing it.
Right.
And when they don't understand what's the code, they just make it as a code, because it's just a code which is being written. Right.
Srini, I want to move to you. In your new avatar as Chief Business Officer, APAC region for Cloud Secure, I'm sure you're going around meeting a lot of large enterprises. So what do you see as their response? Is there a greater acceptance of blockchain now? Or is it, how do we compare the hype in media versus what's happening on ground at a larger canvas in enterprises?
Yeah.
and also probably if I were to add, is it different from the worldwide context, or is it same as the worldwide context? How does the Indian enterprise look at blockchain?
Yeah. So, yeah, over a period of time, I think, as Rajesh was telling, when we also got into blockchain, everybody was associating it with Bitcoin, and there was the death of any users who would put in their money, and it takes a lot of effort to convince customers to put in money and adopt to blockchain. Over a period of time, slowly and steadily it's changing, and the best thing that can happen to it is when organizations like GMR, who are actually users, who can invest in this technology, come to the front and they give deal to a client on the to a vendor on the table, saying that here is my use case, I'm ready to put in money, and you go ahead and implement. It's a dream, and it's a big shift, and pointed to the direction of the future. And of course, it has to be led by visionary organizations, and GMR is one such. Definitely, I could feel. But it's not so easy for us when we go to the clients. And not only in India and abroad, of course, things are changing. Now people are more understanding. And we also created courses for potential customers who want to know about blockchain. And we have educated our clients a lot, and we have given them courses, online courses, where they and their executives could learn free, and then they can, have more knowledgeable discussions around the use cases. One of the largest customers with whom we were discussing about blockchain, he would say, he's the largest automobile manufacturer perhaps in the world. And their chief information officer, maybe less than a year back, would say that we are end-to-end automated in our supply chain. And then our system is there across all our points of distribution. Why would we require a technology like blockchain to connect all the players in the ecosystem? Right? It's that they don't understand. Either they don't understand or they don't want to understand that blockchain is not just connecting one end of the supply chain to other, but all the players across all the ecosystem, across all the points of the value chain. And they don't want to let their advantage go, right? So if everybody is connected, blockchain has got the capability to make all the players get the fruits of this entire technology that will give track and trace and give so much more benefits to their customers. So that they want to protect their turf in terms of the barriers, what they have created with their investments. So the large players definitely have always resisted this adoption of blockchain. But they are now finding it that if they don't adopt it, they will be swept off. And smaller players and unknown players, blockchain has got the capability. It's like the bamboo tree, 4 years, nothing happens. But 50th year, you see the entire bamboo tree spring up from bottom to 20 feet, right? So like that, suddenly you'll find a lot of blockchain-enabled companies coming all over, and then the big players would be like ants biting the snake. So now they have understood that it's very important for them to invest in this, explore this, learn this. So we are getting inquiries from large global leading organizations to more understand how blockchain can enable them, help them, empower them. More facilities can be given to their customers, and how could help them automate their processes, etc., make them more efficient. So they are coming forward. So it's a slow and steady process, but it's happening, and I'm sure it will gain speed. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. Nice analogy you gave about the bamboo tree. I think it is very heartening. So I'll move to Prasanna. Prasanna, in your former role as Chief Innovation Officer at DCB Bank, you've done so many kind of use cases. You were representing an enterprise at that point of time. And you're also very well connected in the banking finance industry, work with IDRBT and several other banks. How do you see the adoption? Because a lot of times, again, I'm repeating myself probably, when you go by media reports, it's very confusing. One day you see that, everything is going on blockchain, and the other day you see that people are moving away from blockchain. But what is that ground reality, and what do you see in terms of financial institutions, banks? How do they look at blockchain? And do you see things moving in the accelerated way, or is it still is there still a lot of resistance and skepticism?
Yeah, I think India is blessed with a very good regulator, RBI and various other regulators, so-called SEBI, IRDA, and what we have seen, new regulator came in, IFSA, with an intention that how do we become a forefront on the Web3 technologies, right? So that's the attention, and some of the regulators have started accelerate companies also to have a more of a technology adoption. Example, RBI Innovation Hub. The primary attention is the innovation, inclusion, and how they can bring on this with the AI and the blockchain. So coming back, I think it was an era 2014 when I joined DCB Bank, and I must say I was blessed with joining a bank that moment, because that was the era we have seen a lot of a transformation in India in a banking ecosystem. Typically, we have seen geo adoption and data adoption, followed by UPI coming into picture. Blessed with that initial architecture of UPI, we used to sit along with Mr. Nandini Lekani and see how the architecture is going ahead. That moment we could see we are at really, after Aadhaar we'll do UPI, And then some of those like-minded banks, SBI, DCB, ICICI came in and say, let's start a forum which will bring on a lot of use case for a banking fraternity, like bank chain we have done. I think I was talking with Rajesh also. Can we do, bank chain is there, let's do something like a bank ledger. I think that moment we have seen a lot of experiences, but what we have achieved that collaboration of the banks. Or similarly, because of banks and insurance companies also came together and they have started a insurance consortium. From there, we have seen in 2018 we have started IBIC, which is India banking blockchain infrastructure company, wherein like-minded banks has created a proper forum or a proper company which will really take care of interbank or interoperable bank kind of use cases. That was an attention, but it couldn't fly until we have seen 2021 March, we had RBI Innovation Hub coming into picture, and recently they have done a lot of handholding with the multiple banks with some use cases like interoperability or LCBG, or you talk about how do you have a better cyber security reporting from one bank to another bank, right? One of the use cases which we are doing along with IDRBT, IIT Bhilai, CDAC around decentralized KYC. So today, almost all banks knows that a blockchain is reality for them. They were seeing that there are 3-4 types of banks. One of those banks, oh, let's do it, right? Like say example, ICSCS or SI. So it's all in the news, so I can take their names, or SBI. So that's how they have started. So looking at their other banks started adopting like RBL, IndusInd Bank. So let's be part of that consortium also. So while banks are aspirational, tech service provider side, TechM is there, or Infosys are now guiding because they are sitting on that core banking architecture across all banks with the Finacle, or IBM has own handholding with IBM Hyperledger and so on. So on the partner side also, a lot of things are happening for a banking ecosystem. So individually, many banks are individually working on some of those blockchain use cases. Example, DCB has done 6-7 use cases to figure it out and promote it again in other ecosystem. So I think largely today we are sitting on a very good ecosystem with the RBI Innovation Hub, which is guiding most of the banks now. Where in India Blockchain Forum gonna collaborate with RBIH as well as the insurance as well as other IFSCA to create their regulatory sandbox onto the Web3. So at this moment, I think what drives blockchain is a use case. Technology may not drive, but whenever use case comes, say example, one of the top use case, which is like how can we filter it out every SMS, which has gone live. There were some initial hindrances in that use cases, but those were not a blockchain hindrances. Those were like how to have a right governance within bank to have those whitelisting of those SMS templates and so on. So I am in a hurry, rather we are in a hurry as a part of a blockchain ecosystem. How can supersede a blockchain technology at India level? So banking as a forefront, more than I think 30-40% of a blockchain adoption is in financial ecosystem, and followed by entertainment or many other sports and so on, they are adopting. So why we are in hurry? Because Indrajit spoken about something, or Srinivas has spoken about something. Today's regulation is built on Web2 technology. Today's roles, today's controls, today's PCI DSS, today's all these guidelines which RBI provides is based upon all those Web2 technologies built for internet-based apps, internet banking, mobile banking. So we are today talking about fintech integrations with, so everywhere we need trust, right? How do we create that trust so that we can ease out that pressure on the controls? So blockchain is a foundational technology, comes and says that I will ease out everything, and then we'll have to figure it out different kind of a regulation. So that's the opportunity. That is why RBI is also in the race. RBI is also now has understood power of blockchain technology. I think they are coming up with roles, right? Fintech officers at RBI. There is a fintech unit at RBI. RBI Innovation has started. IFS is looking at blockchain technology to get nurtured more and more. They have done 3-4 cohorts around this. So I think, even I think METI, we have seen Government of India looking at it. At a banking level, I think RBI Innovation will drive at a mainstream most of these use cases, because when use case comes, automatically the business value will come, and most of the banks will be part of these use cases. So I will not be surprised tomorrow we'll have some kind of Aadhaar going on blockchain, or UPI tomorrow will be safeguarded with a consent mechanism, for every transaction consent mechanism will come. Or tomorrow every fraud reporting which happens today to RBI's window called as FMR and Central Fraud Registry, it takes another bank to identify what fraud has happened in this bank around 45 days. With the blockchain, it's immediate, right? So automatically regulator will have a larger attention to something else rather than what has happened with the Web 2 technologies. So I think we need to be in a race to how do we have a robust ecosystem, robust platforms, rather than use case to use case basis. We can keep on revamping, but attention towards how can you have a India platform, right? The one NPCI recently announced. That's the attention they are bringing on, or the one some of the state governments are doing, right? Rajesh is guiding me, like have a platform which can bring on use cases rapidly. This is what we have seen in Java. This is what we have seen with some of those rapid application tools. Then we can really take care of what is coming in, because customer is changing heavily. Customer yesterday was going to the hotel, or today they want to food at hotel, but that data they want immediately on the fly. And that too on some other interface, maybe metaverse or something. So how do you create a bottom line trust? Today, blockchain may have a lot of opportunity to get onto the next level, but we have to live with whatever available is now today. Keep on researching and make it ready for tomorrow. So I think banking industry has understood that. So EBIC and RBI is creating their own platforms. IDRBT recently was announced 2-3 years, but can we have our own blueprint? So that is a larger view, but slowly we'll do it with decentralized KYC or reporting of frauds, or you talk about any of those wheat coin coming into the Punjab or solar coin coming in UP. So I think that's how we need to, I think India blockchain.
Traceability Telangana.
Absolutely. So I think these are very good use cases which will incentivize farmers to earn more and more. So I think we are sitting at such a beautiful time, and the blockchain kind of a technology comes and says that your life will be easy. But that's not easy, because execution is another game where we have a very good partners or experts like Rajesh and Sharath and Inder. So I think that's the attention we will carry along with your guidance also. But banks have understood next level of banking is the intelligent banking. It's not the same digital banking, and intelligent banking will be always safeguarded with AI along with the blockchain in the backend, while transactions will happen on web or IoTs in the front with a smart contract or API in between. So that's the architecture going to be tomorrow's. But how do we ready for that? So I think that's a beautiful game today we are. Yeah.
Right. Thanks so much, Prasanna. Sharath, I'll move to you. Prasanna did mention a couple of times about Aadhaar, right? And I know you are currently playing a role as India head for Earth ID, which is an identity management solution. Otherwise, also you've been championing the cause of digital identity. So do you want to talk a little about that? Because from an enterprise point of view, identity management is again a very, very important thing. And everything that we are a little worried about today on internet is about our identity management. And blockchain seems to have a solution. So do you want to talk a little about identity management?
Sure. So it was said that the internet was built without an identity layer. So it was impossible for anyone to prove that he or she is able to assert his or herself identity on the internet. It can be a bot, it can be an animal, right? So when we are transitioning from a Web 2 to Web 3 space, decentralized identities are very much needed, and the current models of identity, which are completely centralized, and we have seen the pitfalls of, despite the advantages Aadhaar brings, we have seen the pitfalls of Aadhaar, where there are numerous data breaches, biometric data thefts as well. So and as we all move towards, or as businesses move towards metaverse, or businesses engage in multi-stakeholder environment, let's say airport for that matter, right, where you have multi-stakeholder environment, different players, managing identities in that case becomes a bit cumbersome, or I would say not so operationally efficient. So that's where a decentralized identity may be built on top of Aadhaar for individuals, but even for entities, a decentralized approach is very much needed. And that's why even the banks are even trying, which Prasanna pointed out, decentralized KYC, right? And now coming to metaverse, and the reason I'm bringing out metaverse because Rajesh is there, and there's a metaverse standards forum where Earth ID joined metaverse standards forum. Rajesh's company is also there. So they're working towards how do you create interoperable open standards for identity in the metaverse. So that's one major area. So the risks or the attacks when it comes to identity impersonation will also creep into the metaverse, right? So how do you assert your identity? How do you engage in commerce? And as brands and as companies are looking at metaverse as a $1 trillion opportunity, identifying the right set of stakeholders is also important. So, and that's where I would like to maybe congratulate Polygon for that matter, because they have already made that step in making sure that interoperable identities in terms of Polygon IDs there. And as they aspire to become AWS for the Web3 world, these solutions will actually help adopt decentralized identities further.
Sure, great. So, in short, can we say that the future is safer?
Yeah, we hope so. We are working towards that.
I'll now move to Rama. Rama, you've been on both sides of the table, right? Till a few years back when you were the CIO at T-Hub, you must be looking at startups and pushing the startups to, talk to the enterprises and asking the enterprises to adopt solutions. And now you're on the other side of the table, where I'm sure a lot of Idea Labs and Polygons and Earth IDs of the world come to you to offer solutions. So how do you see this blockchain evolving? Because you've seen it from both sides. You've also seen the hype, and probably now you're also seeing the adoption, and today we are talking about the launch of blockchain CoE. So how would you summarize the blockchain adoption in enterprises?
Sure. I had prepared for some other question, but
I changed it.
so I think first, like really passionate talk by Prasanna. I think Rohas would have been very happy about hearing about bank chain so much other than himself. So good stuff on that. I think I'll get to your answer in a minute. I think the few things that I'm excited about, and I'll kind of join the dots on that, is like, for example, what Sudarshan talked about, right? Like an edtech company kind of, bumped into blockchain as a proper value, right? And I keep seeing in all of us, right? Like whether it is any of our photocopies, PANs, passports, credentials, verification, all of that, we keep kind of sending like people like dime a dozen times so many contacts, right? And everybody thinks that, is there a better way to do this, right? And I think what Sudarshan is on to with Veryones is are something that I really would put my money on in terms of these are things of value and will see the day of light. Similarly, like what Statwick has been doing with Cargo Team, we are already an adopter of that. So there is already a customer, a market, validation of how a tech adds value to an enterprise. And today, as I was saying earlier, that CoE came later, but we already started on it in terms of being an adopter of blockchain tech. And I think our Cargo Team has been leading from the front, thanks to Saurabh, Manish, and the leadership there. I'm also pretty excited about Coin Earth actually. For all of us here, we know them well, but I think most of the other people out there probably don't know enough of it, and I think Coin Earth should do more marketing about themselves. I think it is right now what they have done with their platform is just amazing. I mean, not only the enterprise side, but the Engage platform, which are digital assets that you can do on an INR tether. I think that's something that we are also kind of taking a close look at. So these are examples to me today that people have gone the distance, there is value, and we as a business today are happy to engage, and we are engaging with them. So yeah, I don't know if I got to the answer to your question, but I think having looked on both sides, pretty excited to see what we started. And I think I'll go back to what Jayeshji mentioned earlier. Blockchain District was a nice experiment with Rajesh and few of us when we started, that Telangana should kind of put the stamp on blockchain. And I think we have traveled quite a distance from there. And good, I think with what you're trying to do tomorrow, I think back-to-back blockchain events hasn't happened in a long time. So I think we are seeing traction, value, the intersection of some of it. And as GMR Innovex, we are happy that we are bringing a large, diversified, and as Kishorji mentioned, multi-stakeholder environment, which we are probably the best example of. There is enough of use cases that we already have in our pipeline. So happy to build an extremely robust community. Happy to work with IBF very closely. And on the government sandbox that Jayeshji will unveil tomorrow and peel the layers on, we are happy to put up our hand and partner to some of those. So thanks.
Sure. Thanks, Rama. We'll give you passing marks. So we have 4 or 5 minutes left. So I would like to take this opportunity to again circle back to Rajesh. And everyone here was tempted to use the word metaverse. And Rajesh is currently heading the metaverse practice at Tech Mahindra. And I think for him it's a deja vu moment. If 5-6 years back people asked him what will he do in blockchain, I'm sure people are asking the same question. So I want you to peep into the future a little and talk about metaverse and what
sure.
for enterprises.
Sure, Pankaj. So from a metaverse perspective, if I go back and relate to the time, every time the mobile technology took an evolution shift. I started my career in telecommunications at Tata Cellular. At that point of time, I received the most innovation award for doing SMS banking. So you send a short message code to a bank server, it will fetch what is your balance, and that was magic at that point of time. Then we came to 3G. At that point of time, we rushed to bring mobile servers, and then we put mobile internet access with those particular servers. Then came 4G. Web lost its importance. It went to an app. Now comes 5G. So if people come and tell you with 5G you can make faster app commerce, that's a very wrong way of looking at things. So now you're at a cusp of another set of revolution from a commerce perspective. And that's where metaverse is going to fulfill, and what we call at TechM as the meta commerce. So what is meta commerce? Meta commerce is more about experiential buying. It is more about experiential selling. The app does not have the enough real estate to give that experience. So web will reclaim the commerce leadership from the app, and that is why meta commerce is becoming very, very important. And to my earlier example of those kids, today if you look at worldwide, 85% cart abandonment. E-commerce merchants are facing 85% cart abandonment. That's because they don't believe statements. There is a trust issue over there. On the other hand, the brands that have launched metaverse, 70% of people who went into metaverse have bought something. So that is where the power of metaverse is going to come. That is just about consumer metaverse. In addition to consumer metaverse, there's a lot of opportunity in the industrial metaverse. You know, for example, if you look at Ericsson, and they're doing 5G rollouts in the metaverse first, not in the real world. That's because 5G as a technology has a lot of challenges with interference. And if they have to roll out 5G, they have to do drive tests in every nook and corner of the world, which is practically impossible, and it's a very, very expensive rollout. So they've figured out a method of simulating the real world into a digital world, and then doing their drive tests. So at least 70% of the drive tests can be done in metaverse. The balance 30% will be augmented by the real world tests. That is industrial metaverse. And that's where we see a significant amount of opportunity in addition to the consumer metaverse. So when 5G comes, it's the time to kill all those apps on your phone and then look at a completely different engagement. And that's why many marketeers, brands, and enterprises are very bullish about metaverse.
Sure, thanks so much, Rajesh. And no wonder you have been an innovator all along, and behind your back, a lot of people in your company also call you the Elon Musk of TechM. So I don't know if it's a compliment to Elon Musk or to you, but thank you so much. And I could continue this conversation for the whole evening with these people, but I think we have the limitation of time, and I would like the audience to have the opportunity to network with all of you. So we'll close this panel with this, and I think thank you all for your time. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you all. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite Mr. SGK Kishore onto the stage to present token of gratitude to our guests. You're ready. Firstly, I'd like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, onto the stage. Mr. Rajesh Duddu. Mr. Prasanna Lohar. Let's be careful now. Colonel Inderjeet Singh. Mr. Sharad Chandra. Mr. Srinivas Mahankali. Yeah, that's next. Mr. Pankaj Devan. I now like to invite our partners, Deep Chenna. Arpit Sharma. Sudarshan Tyagarajan and Sheetal Shrikant. Yes. The two. Yeah. I'd like to call Shashank for giving the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Pooja. So they say collaboration is the new competitive advantage, and we're happy to collaborate with all our external ecosystem partners and also work with our internal business leaders to develop and implement blockchain solutions across for airport and aviation industry. Well, this brings us to the end of the launch event, but also the start of a new journey for GMR Innovex and GMR Group on the whole. And on behalf of GMR Group, I'd like to thank all of you present here physically as well as virtually. A special vote of thanks for Jayesh Ranjan sir for joining us today, Pradeep sir for joining us, and Kishore sir for guiding us and being the vision behind Innovex. On behalf of GMR Innovex, I'd like to thank the advisors for joining us today and for our journey in the future with the blockchain CoE. Also our ecosystem partners. We hope to build some amazing blockchain solutions with you guys. And internally, I think this event wouldn't have been pulled off with a lot of teams working in the back end for this event. So corporate communication team, they have been instrumental for kicking off this event. The FMS team for arranging the facilities, and of course our event partner ABS Blue for the amazing arrangements. So thanks everyone, and we'll go to the second floor, which is our Innovex office, for some refreshments and snacks. And while we go, we can just collect some t-shirts that we've arranged for all of you. You can just tell your sizes and that'll help you out. Yeah, thanks so much.